Good evening and welcome back to Irons United. My name is Anton and we're back with another transfer show. The merry-go-round of West Ham rumours is in full motion and it's never really stopping. Just to reiterate, what we do is we look at some of the links that West Ham are potentially linked with, and we talk to you about what difference they could make. By no means do we say that these players we're pretending to be in the know, because we're not, but we're just looking at the players that are potentially linked into the club and linked out of the club. And as we know, every single day, another player is linked out and another player is linked in. So on the day that the squad have actually returned to pre-season training, hopefully that's a thumbs up from Declan Rice. Again, he has been linked to Chelsea and the ongoing saga of Declan Rice. So today what we're going to cover is Stuart Pierce, Declan Rice, Issa Diop and Jović from Real Madrid. So we'll get cracking on with the show. And first and foremost, we want to welcome back Mr. Stuart Pierce back to the club, who has signed back with West Ham for his second stint at the club as a first-team coach. In January, it was said that the club's owners had blocked his return when David Moyes was appointed. He had been a coach under Moyes during the 17 and 18 season, and he had questioned the decision not to keep the manager on after his first spell as boss. He, of course, has previously played with West Ham, and recently he had mentioned in his interview that he had spoken directly with David Sullivan and Karen Brady, and he had extremely positive conversations with both of them, and they were enthusiastic about him returning. What do you think of that return to the club? I think, it's psycho, he's crazy, he's a bit nuts, but is it a good move for West Ham for him to be back in that coaching setup? For me personally, I think it is. I think it's a great move by West Ham. And to add more positive news is to maybe put to bed the rumours of Kevin Nolan potentially leaving and going to Bolton, because between him, Kevin Nolan and Paul Nevin, they've both actually signed extensions to their contracts at West Ham. So it looks now, finally, after nearly a year, 8 months ahead of David Moyes' second term, he's nearly up to full strength in his coaching lineup. So what do you think of the Stuart Pierce appointment? For me, again, like I said, I think it's an absolute no-brainer, and I'm glad he is going to be in the ranks. And maybe, he can shore up that defence, which we so desperately need to be shored up. And I suppose there's going to be a little theme about the show tonight and who we're going to be discussing. So, first and foremost, today, there has been plenty of rumours kicking about our centre-half, Issa Diop. It's been reported that West Ham are open to offers of up to £45 million for the 23-year-old central defender. It's debatable whether or not you want to say he has been a standout player for us in recent season, but he is definitely attracting a number of admiring glances from other teams, not just in this league, but all over Europe. Issa Diop's made 31 starts and 1 substitute appearance in the Premier League for West Ham this season, scoring 3 goals and providing 1 assist in the process. During the 18-19 season, he scored 1 goal in 33 league games for West Ham. So in over 60 appearances for the club, he has been on the receiving end of 27 losses and 23 wins, conceding a total of 97 goals, only keeping 11 clean sheets. Now, of course, I'm aware that this is a defender who plays as part of a team, etc. But, it's not, the defensive reading is not great. And this is maybe why bringing in someone like Psycho, Stuart Pierce, will help shore up that defence. It can't just be Diop that's to blame for that. Let's take a quick look at Ogbonna's record over the 130 plus appearances he has performed for West Ham, scoring 4 goals, assisting 1 goal, keeping 28 clean sheets in total, conceding 203 goals. So with all these numbers, we can see that defence has got a huge problem. And for West Ham, we need commanding defenders to control the back line. If we look at the last season at Upton Park, when we had, say, someone like the quality of player that Reid was, not saying still is, but was playing in beside Ogbonna. He was a commanding defender. He read the game really well. He controlled Ogbonna in his line. He made sure Ogbonna never stepped out of line because he's very capable of doing that. And the problem we have, in my opinion, is that we've got Ogbonna and Diop, who are too similar. And when you're in that back line of defence, you really can't have those two players exactly similar. Both are very capable of stepping out of position. And no one seems to be in behind covering like the sweeper role. And that's what we so desperately miss. Now, it would be fantastic if Reid came back, but I don't think it will happen. But we need to look and shore up that defensive position. The reason why I'm talking about this is, do you think you would accept £45 million for Issa Diop when he is so potentially talented? Or is this just the typical West Ham thing to do? I think the biggest problem we've got is when we play Diop and Ogbonna, like I've mentioned, they're both too similar in their style of play. I think what we probably need to do is look at maybe Diop being the successor to Ogbonna, and we've got to keep a hold of him. And, you know, let's not forget the time when West Ham sold Rio Ferdinand to Leeds, replacing him with Rigobert Song, and you know, we know how that worked out. So sometimes, you know, getting money in to just try and purchase players because something's maybe not working right now, we need to look a little bit more in depth. And I think, personally, I would like to see someone like Diop stay at the club. This is the core of West Ham, and you know, what we need to build on is that core of that middle of the park working its way through up to the midfield. He's a very good central defender. He's established himself as an important player with the current West Ham team. It is true, though, he could do better, but he's a player that can improve and develop in the coming years. And it's no secret that we're disappointed in defence. I think just selling a player of Diop's quality and potential doesn't make sense. He's not yet to play for the national side of France, but he's played 6 times for the under-21s. And with many believing it's a matter of time before he makes his mark. Is it potentially the fact that before he does that, he has to be maybe playing for a team challenging higher up the table? But, I mean, today it's reported that we are willing to sell Diop, and if someone can maybe meet the £45 million asking price, it would be really potentially tough for the West Ham board not to sell him. We know managers like Jose Mourinho are a massive fan. I think he said before when he was a manager of Manchester United, describing Diop as an absolute monster. What do you think? I mean, Tottenham will be sniffing about looking for a centre-half, and other clubs around Europe will be. Is this going to be the only way we can afford to bring in any other potential players? Because, of course, West Ham don't have any money. So is it going to be that West Ham have to sell their best assets? Not so sure. Possibly. But will our board, have they fed that information out to the media today to try and dangle the carrot in front of all the other clubs to say, this young, talented 22-year-old is available, come and sign him, give us 45 million, we'll take him off your hands, then you can go and sign all the other players? I wouldn't put it past our board. I really, really, really wouldn't put it past our board. Get your comments in and let me know your thoughts on what I've said about Issa Diop. Now, the ongoing saga of our midfield maestro Declan Rice is continuing. And so, you know, let's have a brief chat about Declan Rice. He was there's no denying that he was a massive Chelsea fan as a kid growing up in their youth system. It's no secret that his best mate is Mason Mount from Chelsea. You just have to look at his social media posts to see that they more or less live in each other's pockets. It's no secret that Declan Rice is a quality player and would absolutely suit the style of any top club that is potentially chasing this talent. But will we sell him? I absolutely hope that we don't. I mean, of course, I don't know any West Ham fan that would think or would want Declan Rice to be sold. But we do know that the West Ham board and what they're capable of. I know we're in the middle of a pandemic and the West Ham owners have no money. So the temptation to part with our biggest asset must be there. And we all know not even £80 million would be enough for West Ham to replace what Declan Rice is capable of doing for our side. But could a club like West Ham afford to knock back, let's just say, £60 million for the quality of player that he is? Yes, he didn't cost us anything, but for me, it's a no-brainer for us not even to look at potentially selling this guy and build in and around the core, like I've mentioned, of midfield and defence. Rice is blessed with an intelligent reading of the game, extreme composure, and ability to procure the ball, so his more attack-minded teammates have the freedom to prosper further up the pitch. Obviously, he was a centre-back at youth level, and he can step back into that position, but he's developed into a midfielder of substance. So it's no surprise that teams all around Europe are looking at him. He's switched allegiance from Republic of Ireland to England, and he's been the forefront of the England international side. I know as of late, prior to COVID-19, there was some, potential issues about him starting for the England side. But, for this defensive midfielder with the ability to move forward, he's got such an intelligent reading of the game, extreme composure, and the ability to, he's just got everything there that stands out for a top-notch midfielder. What do you think? How much would you sell Declan Rice for if it came up? I mean, listen, let's look at. We know we don't want him to be sold. What do you think our owners would accept for him? Get your comments in and let me know. What happens is he's got such a great ability to slow down the game, and he makes a very difficult pass look extremely simple. And now with the signing of Souček, you start to feel that midfield trio of him, Rice, and Noble, when they came back from lockdown, have actually performed to one of the highest levels. And we're in the inform side in the league. So if you could keep those three players and strengthen within the depth of the squad, then maybe we can maybe see the future is a little bit brighter at West Ham. But is this the West Ham we've become, bringing in another young talent, giving them the opportunity platform? So for bigger clubs that come in to sweep in and take them from us. Listen, let's not deny the fact that any young lad playing the professional game would look at teams above them, seeing them winning trophies, and think, I fancy a bit of that. Plus, on top of that, a massive wage rise. Why wouldn't you? But it's integral for West Ham to keep a hold of Declan Rice and Diop and try to solidify the core in the team and build around them. 100%, that's what we need to do. Rice, on top of that, played every single minute of West Ham's 1920 Premier League campaign. What a massive achievement, albeit not in a fantastic season. What doesn't help, though, is all the rumours that kick around and potentially, Creswell speaking out on TalkSport, saying comments like he could reach another level if he had better players around him. Maybe Creswell was trying to hint at the board to sign better players to bring it in, but it's just not a good comment and not a comment you really, really, really want to hear. Get your comments in. Let me know your thoughts on the Declan Rice saga. It's definitely an interesting one, and I'm praying that he actually stays. And has he returned today to pre-season training? Let's hope that is a thumbs up for the fact that he wants to stay at the club. But who knows? Next up is Luka Jović. This is an interesting one. So, stats. Sometimes that's all you hear us talk about. But for this particular player, you'll see contradicting points of view regarding the stats. So, before joining Real Madrid for 60 million euros, he was a star player for Frankfurt. In particular, in the 2018-19 season, he made things happen in front of goal, elevating his game specifically in Europa League. He scored 27 goals and 6 assists in 46 games during that season. And of course, he linked up with current West Ham striker Seb Haller, who scored 15 and assisted 9 that season. Now, the crazy rumour talks about West Ham potentially selling Haller to Monaco to fund the purchase of potentially another striker like Jović. But how amazing would it be if somehow, how amazing would it be if somehow we could pull off the signing and get this deal over the line and not sell Sebastian Haller and reunite these two players? Listen, we can all dream. I know that, and I know it's probably not going to happen, but we can all dream. But what Jović does offer is he is a kind of, an all-round player. He's a defender's nightmare. He digs deep into, if you dig deep into the stats, you can see that the 25 goals he scored in the Bundesliga whilst at Frankfurt, 10 came from his left foot, 10 came from his right foot, and 5 came from headers. He scored with every 4.4 shots, converting almost 3/4 of his big chances. And it's no surprise that 5 of his goals have come on the counter-attack. At Frankfurt, he covered on average 6.1 miles per game, including on average 21 sprints. Now, if you compare those stats to Sepp Haller's stats, you've got someone who's working a little bit harder, running up and down that field. And maybe that is the sort of striker that West Ham need if they're going to try and pursue this one striker up front. And it's no wonder that defenders struggle to keep up with him when we provide stats like that. He's got an athletic ability. His link-up play and his lethal finishing made him one of the most exciting young forwards in the world, hence why Zinedine Zidane pushed to sign him. He's a Serbian international, but he didn't really hit the La Liga and hit the ground running there. But the interesting thing here, and this is where the stats come into play, he's played fewer than 500 minutes in La Liga. Basically, Real made the big investment up front in Jović, but they didn't even use him. That all came down to the fact that Benzema played so well, and really Real couldn't afford to put him on the bench. So he just did too much for the team as the leading scorer and of course leading assist player. So Jović got the criticism, but the stat sheet reads 2 goals, 1 assist for Jović in La Liga this season, and that's as many contributions as 3 of the Real Madrid defenders. Never mind the fact that he played under 500 minutes, averaging less than 25 minutes per appearance. People say Jović was a failure, but that's because his first season at Real Madrid was a backup striker, and that's why, of course, he only scored 2 goals. It's an interesting one. Do you see how the flawed logic potentially is in looking at stats? Sometimes they read, I know we're here to bring you the stats and give you as much information as we can as possible, but sometimes it doesn't always prove that you're getting a quality player. He started his career off at Red Star Belgrade, 2014 to 16, playing over 40 times, scoring 12 goals before he moved to Benfica B team. Played over 18 games, scoring 4 goals. Went into the first team, played not much. Went on loan to Frankfurt, played over 50 games, scoring over 20 goals before moving to Real Madrid, where he's played approximately 17 games, scoring 2 goals. What do you think of the link with Jović? It's an interesting one. I look at him and think, again, please, when you're watching this, let me reiterate that I am not saying that West Ham will go out there and sign any player. I'm just telling you, the players are linked with us. This is what they are capable of doing. He is an all-rounder striker. And do you potentially think that West Ham brought in the wrong striker and not brought in Jović and should have left Haller? Or, do we sell an asset? Do we sell a Issa Diop and invest that money into the striker, which we need? Do you think we've got enough in the defence? I know we're going to go on about the wing backs, but let me know your thoughts on particular Jović. He does look like the real deal. The only downside is he's not played a lot of football over the last year. Then again, who has over the last 5 or 6 months? But prior to that, he hasn't played a lot of football. He's young, he's enthusiastic, and he's got a history of scoring goals. And his work ethic is through the roof. He runs average 6 miles per game. I mean, the stats, there you go. The contradicting stats read really well. So get your comments in below. Let me know your thoughts on that link. Let me know your thoughts on Issa Diop. Do you want him to go? I don't want him to go because he's a young, enthusiastic talent. But I think we need to bring in another central defender to play alongside him moving forward for the new season. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. All we do know is we need to sell to bring in. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Declan Rice saga continues. What would you sell him for? What would be the price tag you would be willing to accept for a player of Declan Rice's ability? But for me, I don't want to sell him at all. But I'm very aware that money talks, and that's what football is. And finally, talk to me about Stuart Pierce. I think it's a great signing by West Ham. So thank you for tuning in. It's been another interesting day in the West Ham transfer saga. And thanks for watching Still Show last night. This week we'll have a few more transfer shows. We'll have a few other ideas coming up our sleeves. So we'll get them out for you over the next few days. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Make sure you comment. And yeah, get some feedback to us and let us know what you think of the shows. I've been Anton. This has been Irons United. Come on, you Irons.